All right, welcome back to Weekly Accountability. I'm looking at a completed level 10 meeting worksheet. I just finished up with other members in the VentureMap Elite community. It's interesting that we, across the board, all say it's fun and productive. It's one of those rare types of workshops, one of those rare types of meetings that has that balance where it's actually energizing and has a relational, social component to it, yet it's hardcore productive and leaves every member in the group feeling really clear on what they have to execute in terms of tasks for the coming week. Highly recommend it. In this series of videos, I'm committed to taking my build in public efforts to the next level. For years, I've recorded videos and tried to live according to the values that we have, the principles that I try to lead by. Visibility is kind of central to what we do at VentureMap. Trying to display an entire business in a single virtual environment inherently requires a prioritization on visibility. The real question I've had over the years is, how far do we take that? A friend of mine and a client out west and I were belly laughing over coffee about a month ago because of our shared appreciation for going open kimono. I've talked about this before. It's probably like the most dad joke around, but I think it's just hilarious because it's, how far do you take it? In the case of this type of video, it's open kimono, literally just broadcasting the reality of our business as we go through it. Actually taking to heart a lot of what Gary Vee has and others in the space has said about documenting, don't create. So in that effort, here we go. I'm going to share with you the second weekly briefing. Boy, can I tell you, it's not exactly easy to do this. It is easier than last week, that's for sure, like a heavy blockage. I think part of that is a resistance towards accountability, the importance of accountability. As a COO, as an integrator, as someone responsible for day-to-day operations and strategy execution within small businesses, I know firsthand the importance of helping a CEO establish a clear direction for the company and translating that to team members at the operational level, ensuring a meaningful level of accountability. When we commit to getting something done, we do everything in our power to get it done. In real simple terms, that's kind of how it goes. Now, as a solopreneur, as an individual founder, when you're running your own business, the analogy I like to use is working out in the gym by yourself. If you say, I got to work out tomorrow at 8 a.m. and you don't do it, you're the only person you're letting down. And oftentimes you're pretty easy to let down. If you say, I've got to work out tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and a trainer is there waiting for me, or a workout buddy, it is much more difficult to let that person down. We can get into the psychology and social dynamics of that behavior, having an external anchor, but all of that academic stuff aside, it's a very relatable experience. Solopreneurs often struggle with accountability for that reason. Sure, we deliver our projects on time when we have to, but then again, see the first point I just made, there's an external anchor. When we have to do strategy execution, that's where we oftentimes drop the ball. That's why there's millions of books about helping small business owners transcend from working strictly within their business to working on their business to build systems that give them leverage. Okay, so we're going to dive into the metrics review first. Overview. We're basically down on MRR and VentureMap Elite member count. Operating expenses is where we need to be. Actually, we're seeing decent incremental growth with free community members. We're at where we want to be with our operator tier clients for the time being, for reasons detailed in previous weeks. Churn is up for VMO and VME because we lost an account there, but nobody else, none of the sort of regulars of churn besides that. Big insights. Revenue has been basically stationary. We have seen negligible and steady increase in members in the free community. The email nurture sequence and DMs within school have proven to be generally ineffective and are solely reliant on brute force. They're unsustainable. haven't been successful at doing that, and I'm not confident our pre-existing nurture sequence is moving the needle. Therefore, a task item to move from V1 to V2 with our nurture sequence and GHL is really important in the next quarter. We still need to solve the chief constraint, but we do need to just continue throttling traffic through the lead gen system, fine-tuning that. Just a quick update on the Constraint Finder dashboard. This is a core Mosey acquisition.com style stuff. Detailing out what they are has been an effort. I've discussed this in previous videos, but we have the base spine for tracking data. I was building this out in previous weeks. Now I'm going to start tracking the very top with outbound and content posted and new members. We'll start seeing how that compares. And I think it'll create a fusion between the two aspects of metrics tracking. Now, in terms of rock review, we've got 4 rocks underway right now: Outbound Engine, Media Machine, Strategy Execution System, and Money Models V1. I'm now at a place where we're complete with the growth plan and I'm developing smart rocks. And we'll move into project plans and WBS. I'm going to do a build in public series on this, walk through the process on strategy execution, and hopefully lead by example. From a larger macro standpoint, doing this has required me to rethink the entire business, especially the money model stuff. I've had to really consider, like, are we even in the right business? Are we doing the right things? Is this even worth doing anymore? What does the future look like? It took a much deeper dive than I expected, and I feel like that's been the case every single quarter, which is kind of weird. You'd think I'd be used to that by now, but I ended up like having to come toe to toe with my values and what I believe my calling is and the purpose of the business. I have to sit with that, and that's why it's taken me now 20 days longer than I expected. I was working on it before the beginning of the quarter, so trying to really hone in on, we only have this much bandwidth. We can only do this many things, being very tied in and pragmatic with my capabilities and aspirations. Due to some personal stuff over the last week, really reduced my output capacity. So like this task list was basically the exact same from last week. I only got one meaningful thing done. And then I rolled over the whole task list and brought something over as an energizer, which is me getting back into a longer workflow on mastering the craft and doing the visual modeling stuff. I think that's a big momentum build for me personally, just to have that prioritization to say, hey, sit down and own the business for a while and just sit with it. It was one big thing we have to do. My number one thing, if nothing else gets done, is the acquisition system, which is basically traffic, top of funnel, mid funnel, and sales. I made good progress on it last week, but we're going to need to punch forward again. I transitioned everything into my Trello board, which takes like 2 seconds. I just copied and pasted it. All right. Now, lastly, I'm a big Sunsama guy, as you know, if you've seen my previous videos. I just have my Trello board open here. And from there, I basically just drag over what I'm working on into this space. This is a rollover from last week. Again, I was kind of under the weather and some other excuses. So I'm like, behind. For light duty, I'm doing all right. But that's why consistency is key. As I said in the last video, on the days where you're underperforming and the days where you're maxing out, if you find that average, you're incrementally, consistently pushing forward. And that's the big one. Even on light duty weeks, even on days when you don't want to do it, you're still making progress. So that's it for now. That's a weekly update, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.